What's up everyone, welcome back to a brand new video on the channel. Today is the big day, the video you've all been waiting for, the video I'm so nervous to make, but it's got to be done. It is my Championship 2020-21 predictions. Last year I made my 2019-2020 predictions. It was actually my second ever YouTube video, and if you saw the thumbnail there, I mean, thumbnails wise, I've come a long way. But also I've done a full year of Championship analysis now, so maybe I've got a bit more noggin when I'm doing Championship football now, but that's going to be put to the test today since I'm predicting the whole table. I want you guys to comment down below your table, your relegation, your top 6, and your team. Where do you think your team is going to finish? Because when we look back at this video in May, I want us to laugh how wrong I am, but also I want to include your guys' comments in there as well. If you guys like what you see, want to see more Championship content, please make sure you do give this video a like. It's tremendously appreciated. If you haven't done, please subscribe to the channel. It would really make my day. 244 subscribers as of this video. Let's see if we could push to 250 before Friday when the new season starts. That would be such an incredible achievement for me. And if you can, please share the channel. That's how I'm going to grow in subscribers. If you can, share it to your social medias, other Championship YouTubers, other Championship fans, any football fans that may like this, or if that would really make my day. If you guys want to do more for just watch this video and join my Discord, the Discord link is on the screen right now. Follow that if you are interested. On that server, we talk about everything football, so if you want to join that, follow the link up there. You've got 24 hours to join. If you don't join in time, comment down below and I'll give you a new link. But without any further ado, I'm just so excited to make these predictions. Let's start these predictions. So right now, here is the table I have formulated, and we're going to start from 24th all the way upwards. So 24th place, rock bottom of the Championship, is the newcomers Wycombe. They're always going to be the underdogs, Wycombe. You know, they're working with the lowest budget in the league and one of the weaker squads in terms of quality in the league. However, there is a realm of possibility that Wycombe could perform out of their lives. They do play a unique style of football, a very high pressing style of football actually, and a load of attacking down the wings. I like some of the transfers they've made. I like the fact they managed to get Jason McCarthy back, who was a very important player in their promotion last year. Onyedinma, I think, is a player I'm really interested to see. Of course, Joe Jacobson, we got the most goals as a full-back. I'll be very interested to see how he performs. Daryl Horgan, he managed to score in his debut against Brentford, and I think one thing that's just occurred to me, he's played in Scottish League. Of course, Hibernian, the club he was playing for, were doing quite well as well, but any Scottish players are going to have that extra bit of sharpness about them, so that was a real good get for Wycombe for me. I think he can definitely make an impact in the Championship. Wycombe could definitely surprise people, but unfortunately, I think they will finish rock bottom. If the bottom 3 was as competitive as it was last year, you know, you needed 45 points to avoid being rock bottom. So I think it's going to be a lot tougher for Wycombe compared to other years to get out of the third table, unfortunately. 23rd place is Rotherham, another newly promoted club. Now, in the last 5 seasons, Rotherham have either been promoted or relegated. I'm sure their fans would appreciate one season where they can just stay in the league for 2 consecutive seasons. And it could have been League One if they didn't result on points per game. And of course, Rotherham got automatically promoted in the end. The core group of players I have, it's the most Championship experienced and orientated squad. But they need to get rid of the monkey off the back saying that they're a yo-yo club and, you know, really state some authority. I like their manager, Paul Ward. I think Freddie Ladapo is going to have a really good season. You know, if he scores as many goals as he did last year, I think he could definitely tear things up. So I like they've got Wes Harding from Birmingham, Championship experienced player. Jamal Blackman, the goalkeeper for Chelsea. Can never get enough time with Chelsea, but we'll see if he's number 1. I think it'll be between him and Iverson for that number 1 goalkeeping spot. I like the signing of Angus MacDonald as well. I think that's a really good signing. But I think the biggest signing Rotherham has made is this Sadlier guy from Doncaster, the winger. One of the best wingers I've seen in League One last season. Once again, along with Wycombe, I think I'm putting him down there more or less because of the competitiveness of the Championship now. You know, there's a huge gulf in quality, in my opinion, between Championship and League One, and I think that gap's just going to get bigger and bigger every year. So it's going to be even more difficult for a newly promoted side to stay up and to be convincing and competitive. So the final relegation place is to Sheffield Wednesday, undoubtedly one of the toughest teams to predict because, of course, they are currently rock bottom right now with minus 12 points. They're going to have to be playing catch up for the whole entire season. They have got to be playing out of their lives to avoid relegation. I definitely think they can do it with the transfers they've made. Isaac Brown, I think, is a fantastic signing. They've got Josh Windass back, which I think is good. Kachunga, yes, in his later stage of Huddersfield wasn't great, but if he performs as well as he did in 2016-17 season when Huddersfield got promoted, he could be an absolute get. They've got Shea Dunkley at the back for a bit of defensive reinforcement as well, although they have lost some players as well. They've lost Morgan Fox and they've lost Stephen Fletcher, both to Stoke City respectively. So whilst they've gained, they've also lost some quality in that squad as well. And I'm still not completely sent off Gary Muggers being the manager. It's going to be really really tough. You know, you saw how it impacted Wigan when they got that -12 point deduction. They tried all their might to try and push themselves away, but unfortunately they were dragged down and they finished in 23rd, and as a result of it, they lost pretty much most of their squad now, and that could definitely be the same fate with Sheffield Wednesday if they do go down, but I hope they don't. I think Sheffield Wednesday do have the ability to stay up, but the competitiveness, I'm going to have to keep banging on about it, it's just going to be too high for me in my opinion, and the fact it is 12 points, then it's not something like 6 points. I think if it was 6 points, I think Sheffield Wednesday will be alright, but 12 points, that's 4 wins in itself to try and get 0 points, and by that time, you know, they've got a really tough run in, and if they don't get 4 wins in their first 6 games, I think Sheffield Wednesday could definitely struggle, and the longer the negative points drags on, the more it would start to impact the players. So ideally, they need to get rid of the -12 points as soon as they can. If they do so, I think Sheffield Wednesday have a chance, but if they don't and they let it drag on, I think they'll definitely struggle. So unfortunately, Sheffield Wednesday got the final relegation place. So now we'll go up to the rest of the table. 21st place for me is Coventry. Now, Coventry is one of those sides that a load of people are thinking different things. Some people think they're going to have a great season. Some people think they're going to have a really bad season. I'm just putting them in 21st because I'm reserving my judgment on them, because Coventry as a footballing side, I'm really excited to see how they perform in the Championship. Probably the best footballing side I've seen in League One all of last season, so they thoroughly deserve to be up there, by the way. I definitely like some of their players. I like they've got BenHD as a signing from Arsenal. I've seen a little bit of him. I think he could be a good signing. Tyler Walker, now, he's a little bit of a wild card. He's had 43 Championship appearances, but only scoring 5 goals. However, he has scored on his debut for Coventry against MK Dons in the Carabao Cup. So hopefully, maybe that can restore his confidence and maybe he can go for it and maybe go along with Matt Godden and try to attack. The reason why I got them down here is just, I think the step up is going to really impact Coventry, and I think they are not going to score many goals. I mean, that would be ridiculous for me to say when you've got Matt Godden in your team. But I have said this already, the gulf between League One and Championship, I think, is just getting larger and larger every year. So it's going to take a little bit of time for me, for Coventry to get into this league. But I feel like out of all the 3 promoted teams, if any one of them can survive, for me it's Coventry. But I don't think they'll be convincing as of yet. I think they need 1 season of experience and then they can start pushing up the table, because I think at this level is where Coventry should be, in my opinion, with the history behind them. 20th place for me is Luton Town. Nathan Jones did a terrific job returning to Luton in the final 9 or 10 games of the season. The form that Luton had was absolutely incredible, only losing once in the last 9 games, and following this run of form, managed to get the club somewhat comfortably finished in 19th place. I think it will be a little bit tougher for Luton to replicate this season. I do like some of the signings they've made. They made quite a few defensive signings. However, you've got to consider the loss of Isaac Brown. Although they do still have great attacking players, I think James Collins and Harry Cornick working together once again this season, I think will definitely help Luton scoring more goals. Their problem last season was ultimately defence, and the fact they've made 3 key defensive signings, they've definitely made an intent to try and shore things up. I don't think it will necessarily happen quickly because of the system that Nathan Jones likes to play, but I do think he has it in them to keep Luton up. 20th place, I think they'll be a couple of points away from the bottom 3. 19th place for me is Huddersfield Town. Now, Huddersfield is one of those teams that's in a little bit of transition at the moment. New manager, completely different style from the pragmatic style of the Cowley brothers to Carlos Corberán. He's going to be wanting a high possession, high pressing style of football. Now, it takes time to do different styles of football. I also think they'll lose Carlon Grant, and I think Steve Mounier has been linked away to a move within France. I mean, following the COVID right there, so maybe that's why he's not moved there just yet. Huddersfield, I think, will definitely not struggle, but I think they'll just be a little bit underwhelming. But I think next season is when Huddersfield can definitely go for it again. I think they just need to weather the storm this season, get a few things right in the transition period, and if they could just steady the ship, I think Huddersfield will be okay. In 18th place, according to my prediction, is Barnsley. Now, Barnsley under Gareth Struber look an incredible team to watch. I've got to be honest, a completely night and day team when you compared the dross that they were under Daniel Stendhal. They were absolutely awful, but then Gareth Struber came in, shored things up. They play with a very high pressing style, but also a very tight defensive style. So Barnsley are such a difficult side to beat now, and I think that is going to help them project themselves up the table from it, because of course they finished 21st last season. Now with Gareth Struber having a full season at the club, I think Barnsley can go places. They've not really changed a lot of the squad, but what's key, this young squad now has got 1 vital year of experience, and I think that will definitely help the club improve. They've learned from their mistakes, especially from their defensive woes last season. I think Barnsley could have a good season and they'll finish in 18th. 17th place according to my prediction is Reading. Now, squad wise, Reading have a much better squad than what 17th place suggests, but I'm putting them there from the unknown of their new manager, Panovic. Now, he could be absolutely anything as a manager, and I don't know. I mean, if Lucas João is as good as he was against my team, Colchester, he's going to rip the league apart. He's got a perfect hat-trick in the Carabao Cup. Of course, they re-signed Ajaria, they've got Puskas back. They've got everyone back, which I think is key. The only player that they really lost is Tyler Blackhill, of course, has gone to Nottingham Forest, but I don't think he's a big loss. He wasn't starting every single game. Reading's just one of these sides you just cannot position. You know, I could be way off with this prediction. They could be fighting for top 6 with the squad they have, and Panovic could be manager of the year. So you just don't know with Reading, but for me, I'm just not too confident, so that's why I've got them down to 17th. In 16th place, I put Queen's Park Rangers. Now, I think it's going to be a huge void trying to recover from the loss of Eberechi Eze. He had his breakout season last year. However, I really like the signing of Rob Dickie. He was a great centre-back for Oxford last season, one of the top centre-backs in League One. If he can step up to the Championship, he can definitely reassure things. Yes, they've lost Grant Hall, but I think they've replaced well by getting Rob Dickie in. They also got Lyndon Dice from Livingston. Of course, he's played a little bit of the season already in Scotland. He's managed to join Queen's Park Rangers as a centre-forward. I do trust Mark Warburton to steady a few things with his side. I think Queen's Park Rangers will have a pretty meh season, but they'll finish somewhat comfortably in 16th. Now, I'll tell you what, from this position onwards, the top 15 was by far the hardest to predict. I made about 6 different drafts of the top 15, and I'm still pretty much not 100% happy with it now, but I've got to back my gut now, my huge guy anyway. 15th place for me is Birmingham. Now, under Aitor Karanka, we don't know how much he can improve this team, but I think in the first season, things are not going to go swimmingly. That's what I'm predicting. Of course, they've made so many transfers, one of the busiest sides in the transfer window. Jonathan Lecco and John Tual are 2 really big signings. I think they will improve the attacking options that Birmingham have now. Birmingham could definitely be something special, but under the manager and the squad, I think it's still missing quite a few key match-winning players. They've lost Scott Hogan, he's returned to Aston Villa as well, so Lukas Djukovic has got to step up being the striker for the team. I think 15th place sounds realistic at the moment, but give Aitor Karanka time, because within a couple of seasons, I think he can definitely get this club up there. 14th place, according to my prediction, is Blackburn Rovers. Now, Blackburn Rovers could be absolutely anything. They could be a dark horse for the top 6. Squad-wise, very, very strong going forward. Adam Armstrong, if he continues the form he had last season, he could be absolutely lethal. Sam Gallagher, they've still got as well. Both of those players are very lethal. Of course, they're going to have Bradley Dack back, who missed most of last season due to injury, and despite that, they still finished in a pretty respectable position in 11th place. My problem with them, though, is their defensive options. I think they still will be fragile at the back. They have got a new goalkeeper, Kaminski. I don't know if he's going to be as good as Christian Walton. We're going to have to wait and see if he can step up. Because of their defensive woes, that's why I'm not quite confident that Blackburn can go on a push to the top 6 at the moment. But with our attacking players that they've got, fed by themselves, could almost win the game single-handedly. 13th place, according to my prediction, is Middlesbrough. Now, Middlesbrough, I'm really stumped with them. You know, I'm so frustrated because if they made more transfers, I would definitely push them in around top 8 or maybe even top 6, because under Neil Warnock, of course, there's one thing he's good at, and he's getting teams promoted. And I'm thinking about where he joined Cardiff mid-season, got them to finish in around the same position Middlesbrough finished last season, and then the following season, they finished second and get promoted. That could easily happen with Middlesbrough as well, because they've got a quality squad. They've got a much better squad than what 14th place suggests, but they just underperformed, simply. Once again, it's like reverting back to an old system. You know, they're going to probably be used to how Jonathan Woodgate used to play, and albeit they didn't play it all that well. But now under Neil Warnock, I think they're now resorting back to a similar type of football that Tony Pulis was playing. I think it will suit them a lot more. The only signing they've made is Grant Hall from Queen's Park Rangers. I think that's a good signing for Middlesbrough to have. Brings a little bit of experience, and of course has worked with Neil Warnock in the past as well. I just fear for Middlesbrough, I don't think their squad is strong enough, and it hasn't got enough depth to compete with the top clubs though. Defensively, I think they need more options than what they've got right now. Attacking wise, you know, they've got some good strikers, Assombalonga and Ashley Fletcher, but they're both hot and cold. So whether they can improve their consistency, maybe Middlesbrough could be up there, but that slight hint of inconsistency can definitely put them into this position. So now we go to the top half of the table. 12th place is Bristol City. Now, I'm a little bit hesitant with this now, because Bristol City all of a sudden have now remembered how to sign players. They've signed 3 defenders in 2 days. They signed Alfie Mawson, Chris Brunt, and they've recently signed Steven Sessegnon. Are they the highest quality? No, but what all 3 of them have is championship experience. Chris Brunt especially, I think, is a fantastic signing for Bristol City. and now I'm a little bit scared that maybe I predicted them to be finished a little bit too low. Of course, I actually made this prediction before they made those 3 signings, by the way, but I'm still backing my prediction here because we don't know what Dean Holden's going to be as a manager. He could be absolutely anything. He could be absolutely triumphant and get Bristol City into the top 6 finally, or he can be like Lee Johnson at the end of his campaign and just completely drop Bristol City. You just don't know what you're going to get, and it's that uncertainty with Dean Holden is why I'm putting them in a somewhat safe mid-table, but it's going to bite me if they do get in the top 6 because I definitely think they have the squad for it now, and they've improved the depth, which I think is key. 11th place on the table is Preston North End. Now, I think this is a realistic prediction for Preston, not 8th place Ben, unfortunately. Preston right now are a team where they've kept most of their players, pretty much all of their players actually. They've not sold anyone too major, but they've made no signings, and a big contribution to why they fell off last season is because of their injuries. They needed to improve the depth and quality in their squad to get promoted, and unfortunately for Preston, you know, there was just too many games coming on them at once. You know, there were some games where they looked hot, some games they've looked cold. Inconsistency is what really let them down as well. I'm just thinking back, let's say Daniel Johnson gets injured again. When he was injured, you know, Preston really struggled. Think back to Ben Pearson. What if he gets an injury? Who's going to be in that defensive midfielder option and play the role he does? Right now, I don't think Preston are going to have a bad season. I wouldn't say 11th being a bad season. I think it's just about meh, but I'm just looking at Preston's squad and thinking, if they could just add 1 player in most positions, that can almost undoubtedly improve the depth and, more importantly, the quality of the squad. Because I just think 1 injury and then they're just going to collapse like a pancake again, which is what they did last year. 10th place in the table is Stoke City. Now, Stoke is one of the sides I'm really struggling with. But in terms of transfers go, I love it. I absolutely love their transfer business. Morgan Foss and Stephen Fletcher for Sheffield Wednesday I think will be good signing for them. John Obi Mikel as a defensive midfielder option. We saw a little bit of him with Middlesbrough under Tony Pulis. Looked to be a really good player still. Still has a lot of good qualities as a player. They've got James Chester back as well. Their squad overall right now is looking very strong. And under Michael O'Neill, Stoke were performing absolutely brilliantly under him and were in a terrific run of form. And I feel if he does continue it into the start of this season, and they do have a couple of easy games to start off with Stoke, if they can have a really strong start to the season, you know, it's already going to put them in such a fantastic position because in the last 2 seasons, they've had really bad starts and they've had to do catch up. I feel like now's the time, more than ever, for Stoke to get up there. For me, I think 10th place is a bit realistic. They could even be top 6, but I think they're just going to be 9 teams above Stoke, who's just going to hold more of a threat to that top 6 place in my opinion. 9th place, according to my table, is Bournemouth. Now, Bournemouth, definitely one of the toughest sides to predict because they've no longer got Eddie Howe as manager. It's Jason Tyndall now, who's been at the club for 12 years. I have no idea how he'll be as a manager personally, and that is mainly the reason why I've got them as low down as that. Of course, they have lost players as well. Recently, they've lost Callum Wilson to Newcastle. There could be more players out from the door as well. Their squad is pretty strong. They've got some championship-orientated players for sure, but I think compared to the 3 recently relegated clubs, they are going to be the least prepared for the season. But because they were highly competitive in the Premier League and ultimately unlikely to go down, I don't think they'll have a huge drop like what Huddersfield did. I do think it's going to take them a season, maybe 2, just to get things back in the right direction following the losses that they had. 8th place, according to my prediction, is Derby County. Now, Darby have really put me on doubt as well because they've literally just recently lost Max Lowe and Jayden Bogle both to Sheffield United. That's really hurt Derby in my opinion. I'm almost tempted to say I might swap Bristol City and Derby entirely because both have had contrasting feelings in the transfer window recently right now. But Derby undoubtedly got a very strong, one of the more exciting squads in the year, one of the youngest squads in the league as well. And I think when you give Wayne Rooney a full season, I think now he can definitely tear things apart as well. Peter Koku for kind of calibre he has as a championship manager as well. I think Derby will improve, but I think following the losses of their players, I don't think they'll have enough in them to push for that top 6 place. They definitely have the squad, but I think now the lack of depth of it is going to ultimately cost them. Now I've made it to the top 7 teams. The team I got missing now may be controversial for you. It's Cardiff City. You may think I'm absolutely crazy, but I'm being real here. Neil Harris, with his first season in Millwall, right, did fantastically well. Second season, though, they struggled completely. Sure, it was probably injuries that contributed to his struggles, but what if something similar happens with Cardiff now? Cardiff now play, you know, pretty similar to what Millwall play now, a very direct style of football, but they can also alternate to counter-attacking football as well. Neil Harris is definitely an intelligent manager. I'm just not confident with their style of play that they can sustain it. Sure, they could be a difficult side to beat, But in my opinion, if you're not going to dominate games and you're going to have to sit back and then defend direct football, you know, sometimes teams are just going to carve you open. And I feel like more or less this year, we've got highly attacking teams in the Championship. So I think it'll be tougher for the more direct defensive teams to hold their shape. And I think that's what's going to happen with Cardiff. I could be absolutely crazy suggesting that. I like the signing of Kiefer Moore. I think he'll definitely be a good signing for Cardiff. Overall, I think Cardiff will just miss out. There you go, guys. Top 6 time. Who have I got to finish 6th? Millwall. Now, Millwall have only made 4 signings, but I like all 4 of them. They've got 2 Darby players in Scott Malone on loan, and they've also got Mason Bennett back on a permanent deal, which is a fantastic signing for Millwall. And of course, Gary Rowett has worked with both of these players as well, so they'll know exactly how to play under him. I love the signing of Troy Parrott. He could be in contention of being one of the players of the season, because definitely in Spurs, there's something about him. If he can just get the run and get the game time at Millwall, he could be absolutely incredible, a game changer for me. If they didn't have Gary Rowett, I don't think I'd be too confident with his Millwall side to finish in the top 6, but Gary Rowett, I think, is a good Championship manager. You know, he's guided sides in the top 6 before, I think back to Darby where he guided them into the top 6. With the potential that this Millwall squad has, why can't he do it in Millwall? I actually think they will have a really good season, finish in the top 6 and potentially be promoted. I mean, Millwall being promoted to the Premier League is something that I don't think I would have ever heard coming out of my mouth. 5th place according to my table is Swansea City. Now, Swansea City have got a bit of a void to fill without Ryan Brewster now and Conor Gallagher both returning to their parent clubs, but I absolutely love their transfer business, and I think the reason why I would have edged Swansea over Cardiff, because I was thinking that both these sides are quite similar right now in terms of quality. Swansea have made more intent in the transfer window. Getting Morgan Gibbs-White could be a game changer, really. But also the signing of Jamal Lowe at the end of last season with Wigan, honestly up there with one of the better wingers in the Championship. His form with Wigan was absolutely incredible as Wigan were trying to get away from their 12-point deduction. If he could perform anything similar to like he did with Wigan, Swansea could definitely benefit from that, and they'll definitely compete with Andre Ayew with that position, and just Andre Ayew as well. He's got so much quality, he could just win the game like that. The only reason why I've not got them to finish high is that I do fear that they could potentially struggle without Ryan Brewster, who was scoring a load of goals, but I do have faith in Steve Cooper, and I do have faith in all of the players. 4th place according to my prediction is Nottingham Forest. Nottingham Forest, in terms of transfer business, have made one thing, and they really want to go for this season. I completely disagree actually for what BenHD has said about Nottingham Forest, saying that they're building something. For me, if you look at the age at their marquee signings, 28, 29, 30, 30, both older players, they want to go for it this season for me. And you know what, they don't have a lot of years left in them. They've got Niall Taylor, they've got Jack Colback, they've got Tyler Blackett, and they've got Niall Taylor. Now, Tyler Blackett is the youngest one, he's 26 years old of those 4 marquee signings. You've got to pick the other ones. Machiu, the guy that they managed to get from Malmo, 30 years old. Gael Guerrero, a very recent signing from Olympiacos, 30 years old. For me, Nottingham Forest want to go for it this season, in my opinion, and I think they'll definitely make a big intent to try and get into that top 6. I think Nottingham Forest players, and especially with Sabri Lamucci, he'll be more determined than ever. Luke Freeman could be an absolute get on loan. You know, he's someone who knows the Championship, got the most assists with Queens Park Rangers in the 2018-19 season, could be absolutely incredible for Nottingham Forest for me. I think that's the best signing that they've made, actually, even better than Niall Taylor in my opinion. Their strike options now have improved with Lewis Graben and Niall Taylor working together, both proven Championship goal scorers now. They could definitely storm this league and potentially even push for promotion, but for me, I think overall with the squad, I just don't think it's experienced enough to be sustaining for a 46-game season. So I think they'll have good moments, they'll have poor moments, but overall it will nurture them into 4th place in the Championship. So now we make it to the top 3. Now, a load of these YouTubers are predicting the same top 3 teams, but have I got them in the order that you may expect? 3rd place is Norwich. Now, I could be absolutely off my head predicting Norwich, because their signings, I tell you what, they've made some terrific signings. Ben Gibson, Jordan Hugill, they made some really good signings. Kieran Dow, who knows the Championship as well. You know, Norwich have made an intent, they want to get back up immediately. But I do think it's going to take them time. Now, the reason why I say that, you know, they are the one side in the Premier League they were slapped every single week. And normally, when you're the team that's getting really dominated each week, mentally, it takes a lot to recover. And you saw what happened with Cardiff. You know, Cardiff were really competitive in the Premier League, you know, just missed out. And Neil Warnock was their manager. They got relegated. Neil Warnock tried to go for another season in the Championship. that transition between the Premier League and the Championship is so difficult. I say out of the relegated sides last year, I say it was only Scott Parker that managed to deal with the transition between the Premier League and the Championship. And of course, he finished in the top 6. He didn't get promoted, didn't he? They have still got the same manager, Daniel Farke. Last time in the Championship, of course, they got 94 points with Norwich. Norwich could be absolutely incredible to watch. Timo Pukki could score over 20 goals again. But I just have a little bit of doubt that I just don't think they're going to start all that strong. You know, I think it'll just take a little bit of time, especially with all the signings they've made. It'll take a little bit of time for them to all gel together. But once it works, I think it'll work. And I think out of the teams in the top 6, I think definitely Norwich have the strongest squad. Now I get to the top 2. Now, second place is Brentford. Now, I'm putting my neck on the line for Brentford here because I watched them play against Wycombe and they weren't great. And you know, it was without Benrahma and Ollie Watkins in the squad, and amidst all the interest with Benrahma and Watkins right now, you know, I think both of them secretly do want to try and have a go in the big league, in the Premier League. You know, if both of them go, you know, they're going to have to rely on Ivan Toney for goals. It's not an easy transition for the poor guy to make. I think definitely one of Watkins and Benrahma is going to go. Which one, I'm not too sure yet. It looks like there's a lot more interest in Watkins at the moment being the Championship Player of the Year. But definitely their squad is great. You know, their defence is great with Ethan Pinner, Pontus Jansson, Rico Henry and Dalsgaard. And then you've got a great midfield of Jensen, Norgard, who signed a new deal, which I think is fantastic for Brentford. He's signed a new deal there. Of course, they still got Mbeumo. Of course, he could leave as well. He could potentially have interest, but it looks like Mbeumo is going to stay. The reason more or less why I'm getting to finish in the promotion place is because I think it's going to be the squad unity, you know. They got so close to being promoted, and I'm thinking I'm going to see a similar thing for what happened with Leeds. You know, definitely the better side in terms of the playoffs, but unfortunately for them, they just missed out. I think they'll be more determined than ever to get promoted, even if it means they have to lose Ollie Watkins to Benrahma. I think they'll find a way. I definitely trust Thomas Frank to definitely do his bits. And of course, losing the attacking players will be hurtful, but they'll be keeping most of their squad as well. So that's why I've got Brentford to finish second. And of course, first place is Watford. Now, Watford, as their squad right now, is really, really strong. I'm really surprised they managed to keep the squad. Same with Norwich, actually. I forgot to mention with Norwich. They've still got Todd Conway. They've still got Ben Godfrey. They've still got Jamal Lewis, albeit I think Jamal Lewis will become a Newcastle player very soon. But they've got Max Aarons as well, you know. Maybe I should have put Norwich to be a little bit higher. But I've made my decision now. Norwich third, Brentford second, and Watford first. And the reason why I'm putting Watford first is because I really, really like the squad that they've actually gone down from the Premier League in. They've got a new manager, Vladimir Ivic, who's got a fantastic record of where he goes as well. Will Hughes, I think, will be a fantastic player for the Championship. They've got Ben Foster still in goal, which really surprises me. I think he'll be safe hands in the Championship. They've still got Troy Deeney, that really surprises me. I think he'll definitely get a move in the future. He's definitely spoken out wanting a move elsewhere. I'm surprised they still got Abdou Doucouré. I think he will move to Everton, although following the recent announcement of Everton getting James Rodriguez, maybe Abdou Doucouré will need to look elsewhere for signing. Maybe someone like Monaco who have expressed interest in the past. And even players like Sarr, I'm surprised he's staying at the club. You know, one of the most exciting players that Watford managed to get from Rennes. You know, he really underperformed last season, but some games he was unplayable. He could be absolutely unplayable in a league like the Championship. So I think they've just got enough match-winning players in their squad for Watford. So even if they're not playing well, one of them can step up and they can get the win. I just think versatility-wise, squad depth-wise, Watford are the strongest team in the Championship. So that's why I've got Watford to be my champions. So there's my table in full, my Championship 2020-21 prediction table. What do you think, guys? Have I been too harsh on some teams? Have I been too generous on some teams? Let me know in the comments down below. And of course, I want you guys to predict the Championship table in the comments down below as well. If you guys like what we see and you're going to be there to see my Premier League table predictions coming tomorrow, please make sure you do give this video a like. It's tremendously appreciated. If you haven't done, please subscribe to the channel. It would really make my day. We're on 234 subscribers at the moment. We've got a couple of days till the new season starts. Could we potentially push to 250 before the season starts? I definitely think it can be possible. If you can, please share the channel to as many people as you can, to your social medias, to Championship YouTubers, to Championship fans, to anyone. It would really, really make my day. But I think that wraps up for today's video. Gosh, that was exhausting. Thank you guys so much for watching. You guys are legendary if you saw the end of this video. And as always, get predicting, guys. Take care.